Have vivid images or spontaneous visions ever appeared before your eyes, offering clues or insights as to what might be going on in your world? Well, hi, my name is Nancy Rebecca, and in this particular teaching, I'm going to be talking about intuitive seeing, or what you may be familiar with, the word clairvoyance, which clair, as a French word, just means clear. Voyance means seeing. So, have vivid images or spontaneous visions ever appeared before your eyes, offering clues or insights? Um, Clairvoyance, intuitive seeing, clairvoyance. Oh my God. It's like, when I try to make these videos, and when you're trying too hard to get it right, that's when you never get it right. So I'm just going to back up a moment. We're having this enormous, what I'm calling the super galactic super wave that is flooding towards the earth. And in some ways, many people are seeing it as a symbolic vision of a tsunami. So this is what I'm going to be talking about today, because how do you know when you see a vision of a tsunami or you have a dream about a tsunami? How do you know that it's not going to be a real tsunami, that it's going to be just a metaphor? It's just going to be symbolic because it's trying to give you a message. So right now, with all the tsunami symbols and images and dreams that are coming through, I'm selecting that category that it's symbolic, that it's a metaphor, that it's not this flooding, the great flood of the earth. And then as I'm talking about clear seeing and clairvoyance, which is one of my big abilities that I work with. Somebody has a leaf blower outside. I apologize. So I'm going to keep talking. So that's what I have worked with for 30 years. So I'm going to be able to provide some insight, maybe some wisdom, but I'm not really certain. Well, I'm more certain that I'm not going to be able to give you hard, substantial evidence of how I know, because that's where your intuitive senses come in. All right, so let's start again. So whether these are fleeting images, symbolic visions, or detailed scenes that come unbidden, meaning you didn't expect them to come and suddenly they're there, and I'm going to give several examples of that. They open a window to a realm that is beyond the physical, beyond the 3D realm. And this gift encourages you to look past the literal and to embrace a more symbolic understanding of reality, offering guidance that transcends logic. Clairvoyance can illuminate hidden truth. This is the big thing. Clairvoyance does not lie. Clear seeing doesn't lie. It doesn't know how to lie. It's not capable of lying. And so it can illuminate hidden truths about situations, people, and your own inner world, prompting you to explore more deeply as to what just might be lying underneath those everyday experiences. So today we're going to explore a captivating world of clear seeing, and it is captivating. And the gift of intuitive seeing. Clairvoyance is much more than ordinary sight. It's the ability to perceive visual information. You're seeing it as visual information that is not accessible by normal standard seeing, like your eyes. Like you could see that someone is smiling. You come walking up, they've got a big smile on their face, and you're just like, you're excited to see they're excited. You're excited. You haven't seen them in a long time. And then you go, how are you doing? And it's like, oh, my mother just died, and it's just like, wow, I didn't read that. See, this is the difference between going with simply just your eyes or going with your extra sensory eyes to where maybe you could see their energy field, you could see them smiling, but maybe there's some gray, grief, some heaviness, maybe a wetness to their energy field that might show that they've got some grief going on. So this is where we're going when we come to this adaptive world of intuitive insights on every single level. So as this blue photonic light codes are coming in, it is activating your DNA to really up and enhance your intuitive abilities. All right, so let's do a little bit more about clairvoyance. So there are various dimensions of clairvoyance. Examining the different levels and types of intuitive abilities are going to offer you some insights on how to nurture and trust your own vision. And before I go further, I just want to say I have a belief. It is my truth and belief that every single person on this planet is clairvoyant, meaning each and every one of you, when you close your eyes, you can get a sense or a seeing of sight, or I call it seeing without seeing. Everybody has the ability of clairvoyance. Okay, so clairvoyance means clear seeing, and it's a direct, sometimes startling perception of images and symbols that carry meaning. You might notice at times that there's a sudden vision that appears with great clarity about a person, a situation, an inner state of being, just like when I was talking about the person who said their mother just died. These images are not random. They are never random. They're often laden with symbolism, personal significance, encouraging you to use your intuition to move beyond what is literal and embrace that deeper, more intuitive understanding. And we'll talk a little bit about how do you get there? How do you make that leap from I just saw, a picture of a tricycle. I have no idea what that means. And that's what usually happens with most people. Like, I have no clue what that means. Well, first of all, if you say you have no clue, all the doors shut down, the curtains close, and you will not be shown the next level of images, wisdom, or insight. So if you say, oh, I can't do this, or I have doubt, all of a sudden everything shuts down. All right. So there are times where I can call on an image. So when I'm doing readings, and I teach my students how to do this as well. So let's say that you come in for a psychic reading and you have a question about whether you're going through a relationship change, or whether you want to know what your life's path and purpose is, or whether you want to know whether you should take this new job or make a move. What will happen is that I will ask Spirit to show me a symbol that represents the answer to that question. So this is what I call calling on an image, so that I can get a sense about the question, the answer to the question that you might have. Or sometimes I will get a flash and a spontaneous image will appear, and I might be in the middle of something. I might be taking my dog for a walk, and all of a sudden a flash happens. I've been in the middle of a restaurant where I had ordered takeout to go home and watch a movie and eat my food at home, and have literally had a vision that came through so strongly in the restaurant. I had to sit down until it passed, which it took about 30 minutes before it passed, because I literally could not see past the vision. Now, this was early on. I would say definitely 25 years ago. I've learned how to manage the visions. Now I've learned the tips and tricks to be able to work with those images. So I'm not what I call being hijacked by visions. So, like, for example, when I have a flash, so I have a story where before COVID, I was looking out my front window and I saw these blue sparkles of light raining down. Now, this was the very first time that I had ever actually seen light codes. I didn't know what it was. I didn't have that foundational knowledge. And I thought, what is this? And then it was about maybe 3 weeks later, I was sitting in my living room by a gas fireplace, very comfortable, sipping on a cup of tea. And suddenly there was a flash of light, and now there is a very tall woman in an emerald green gown with a crown of crows on her head. Absolutely stunning. You know, her eyes were like emerald. Her hair was very dark. And I had a sense that she was from Ireland. Now, here's the thing. She's just standing there staring at me, but she came in almost like riding on this wave of crows. So I have a friend, Maria, who does Ireland tours for people. And I called her on the phone and I said, I described this woman. I said, I have a sense she's from Ireland. Well, next thing you know, I hear click, like she hung up the phone. And she called me back about 20 minutes later. And I said, why did you hang up? She goes, because I got a little scared because who is visiting you is the goddess Morgan, or Morgana, as some people may refer to her. And she had called her mother in Ireland. Well, now here's the story, because this is several years later. My friend Maria, usually Goddess Morgan is a very strong personality, and many people have seen her before death. So like before a war is going to take place. And she's one that will help many, many people to cross over to the other side. So I had zero reference for her. So here I am. It's before COVID hit. I'm get this flash of light, and now I have this goddess Morgan in front of me. And so my friend said, I thought maybe it meant that you were going to die. Well, I ended up being diagnosed with cancer after that. So that was a most reasonable thought process for her, right? But what happened was COVID hit. We had a global pandemic. We had millions of people die. And so I didn't ask for Morgan to come. I didn't ask for the goddess to show up. I wasn't meditating. I wasn't praying. I wasn't studying her. I had zero connections to her. I had been on a trip to Ireland with Maria before. I had never heard her really talk about her. So I didn't know the name, but anyway, the way I described her, that is definitely Morgan. And so she had come to Earth. She was letting me know on some level she would be crossing over millions of people. And that same flash of light happened when the blue beings of light came in 2017. It was a flash of light, and then the room is full of these blue star beings. And you've heard me talk about that before, so you can see some of my other blue light videos for that. And I'll have a flash of light that could be your loved one. And here's the thing. Like, I can be going on my day, minding my own business, and at times a spirit will come through to get my attention because they know that I can communicate with those who've crossed over. So I was working at this very desk one time, and I'm getting ready probably to record a video, and suddenly there was a young man standing off to my left, and he was staring at me. Now, we had construction workers at our house restoring some of our old double pane windows. And so I telepathically greeted the man, and he said, could you please, he was very sweet and very kind, could you please get a message to my friend? And I could see him. And it takes a lot of energy for your loved one to come through and hold that strong of a presence for a period of time. Now, my engagement with him was maybe 3 minutes, but it takes a lot of energy to become visual for me. And I said, well, there's about 12 guys out there, and I'm not quite sure who your friend is. And he said, I'll take care of that. If you will make a commitment that you will give the message, I'll take care of making sure that you know exactly who it is. So I said, all right. Now, and the message was that he cared a lot about him and that he knew what he'd been thinking about, and he just wanted to make sure that his friend was okay. So here I go to open my office door because I'm going to go out and see. And this big guy was literally in the door jamb of my door. And he was literally working on the wall right outside my office door. So I knew that it was him. And I said, can I bother you for just a minute? And then I said, I'm a medium. And he's like, what's that? And I'm like, all right, this is going to be interesting. And so then I said, well, I talk to dead people. And he's like, okay. So can you imagine working on somebody's house and somebody says that to you? Okay. I said, well, you've got a friend that's come through to me, and he's saying that he's been really, really concerned and worried about you, and that he just wants you to know that he's there on the other side. He's doing really, really well, and that he really cares a lot, and he doesn't want you to do anything that would hurt or harm you. And so the man looked at me kind of like, I got the impression he was saying, here's a crazy woman. But he said, okay, thanks. And he went on working. Well, the next day he did come and he said, my friend and I did drugs together. And my friend died of a drug overdose. And I've been clean and sober for 7 years now. And I've had some unexpected stresses come up. And I've been in the back of my mind thinking that I might do drugs again. And that message just saved my life. And so I share this story with you because these are clairvoyance. This can happen where suddenly you see something out of the corner of your eye, or suddenly you're kind of startled because it looks like somebody's there, and it's a flash because it takes a lot of energy. Like they've got to pull the energy in, and then they have to flash so that you can visually see them. And so you really want to make sure and take time to engage, because it takes so much energy for them to come through that you want to help them with whatever they need help with. How often does that happen to me? Well, I just gave you 3 examples, and I would say in that's 8 years that I've had maybe 4 events. So it doesn't happen to me very often, but for some of you it might. And if you've had an experience like that, I'd love to read it in the comment section. So the fascinating aspect about the essence of clairvoyance is it has a diverse range of expressions. And this is the part that I feel is really important for you to hear. For many, visions can come in a brief flash, an ethereal image that vanishes as quickly. Have you ever remember in the old days when the camera and that flash bulb would happen, and it's a flash and it's gone, but yet you're kind of blinded by it? You've got like a halo or this after effect. That's what it's like. It's like a spirit can come through, there can be a flash of light, and then it just kind of goes away. So you want to stop and feel into the imprint. You want to get that, feel it, see if you can hear it, see if you can know it, see if you can kind of roll back, close your eyes, see if you can go back and see what was coming through. So there are different ways of experiencing and expressing clairvoyance. Others may experience a sustained, detailed vision. Remember that one I said came through and lasted for 30 minutes? It can unfold like a movie, which is what had happened to me. And some describe these experiences as symbolic, where the imagery is metaphorical instead of literal, encouraging you to be creative in your ability to interpret abstract events. Now, when I said I had that image where I was in the restaurant, it felt in many ways like it could be symbolic, because the vision I was seeing was so horrific that I just thought there's no way this could be real. And when I got home to turn on to have my dinner and watch a movie, right away this documentary popped up. And it was exactly the vision I was having. And it was horrific and it was real. It was literal. It wasn't symbolic. So when you have inner clairvoyance is where you close your eyes, turn within, and you may be able to see colors. You may be able to see swirling behind your eyes. So, like right now, if I ask you to close your eyes and imagine a trumpet or a drum or a fan, you're probably going to be able to see an image of it, but it may not come through like a real clear vision, but it may come through, I call it seeing without seeing. You know that there's a fan in front of you, but you can't get all the details. So that's called inner clairvoyance. And often in inner clairvoyance, you will see images and symbols like mental slideshows, validating an emotional, spiritual level. I want to make sure I get all my notes in here. Okay. Beyond general description, clairvoyance, often categorized, it has several levels to it. So one type is precognitive clairvoyance, where the vision seems to provide glimpses of future events. These precognitive images can serve as warnings, guidance, or affirmations nudging you forward to make a decision that's in alignment with your highest good. So now I have this knowing that there's this big event happening, at the end of March, and we're having a big event around that, that this wave is coming through, and it's full of light codes. It's a blue plasma of light. There's a lot of high level knowledge coming in. What I know to be a truth is it's going to be activating your intuition. That's why I'm making these videos. And what I know to be a truth, that there's going to be a gentleness to it. What I know to be a truth is that it's going to really activate our scientific abilities, and technological abilities. And it's going to activate like health, like medicine, medical discoveries for medicine. And so that's going to be the big wave that's coming through right now. There will be others in the past that may spark other things, but that's that really strong sense that I'm having. And so then I asked to see a symbol, an image that represents that flow. And that's when I was shown an image of a tsunami. So it just showed how a tsunami just rolls, across the ocean to the shore. They were showing me that it just rolls through the universe. They call it awakening one galaxy at a time. And so that's where I will get the information, but I will literally ask for a symbol that represents what's going to be happening. There's also retrocognitive clairvoyance, where you can see into the past, where you can read past lives. So in my classes, I teach how to read what's going on in the present, how to be retrocognitive, seeing in the past with your clairvoyance, and precognitive, seeing in the future. So in my classes, I teach how to do all three. Spiritual clairvoyance, many people report seeing symbols, auras, even figures that they interpret as spirit guides, angels, and ancestors. So these visions are often infused with a lot of love, protection, gentle guidance. Spiritual clairvoyance invites you to trust that you are not alone. And I often say this when I'm teaching, that loneliness is one of the biggest kind of pandemics that we're going through right now. A lot of people are feeling really lonely. But when you are able to start really connecting to your higher self, getting really grounded in your life, connecting with the guides and angels that you have, everyone has them, it's impossible to feel lonely anymore. It's impossible to feel alone. Human connections are beautiful, but they are not the only connections that we have going on in our life right now. And you are being asked to really spiritually connect. Remote viewing, we've heard of remote viewing. I would say remote viewing is psychic reading. Psychic reading is remote viewing. But remote viewing has become a more accepted term because that's where the military was using it. So we kind of feel if there's authoritarian figures that are working with remote viewing, then somehow that's okay. But saying that you're psychic is not okay. But now we have the military that's coming up with psionics, which is their psychic team. So they're being trained in psychic ability. And there's definitely other countries that they spend a lot of money to develop their military into their psychic ability and using psychic. Used to be called psychic warfare, but kind of spying on each other at a psychic level. And so this is very true. This is very happening. So in remote viewing, that's where it came from. And if you haven't heard, I think it's called psychic warfare, but there's definitely books about it if you're curious. There's lots of YouTube videos as well. So it's a skill where the clairvoyant can perceive the image and detail of the location event from afar without any physical connection. Remote viewing is an incredibly powerful tool of gathering information, personal insight, and you're able to transcend physical limitations. So if you're using your clairvoyance to remote view at another location that might be in another country, and you see a circle, your mind's going to go, oh, that's a circle ball. See, it's like your mind will assign a word to that, even though it may be way off. So you have to sit with it. You just go deeper and deeper. You don't label it. And then suddenly you're doing like a rectangle at the bottom, or you're putting like an antenna on the top. Next thing you know, you've got this little circle on the inside. And it's like, okay, now you're looking at a satellite dish, right? So you have to just keep being open and receptive to getting the information in. And so it's a testament to the mind's ability to transcend and develop through a broader field of consciousness. You might even find that your visions aren't strictly one type. So you've heard me talk about precognitive glimpses. You may have symbolic imagery. You may find that there's an emotional current that's coming through as you're looking at or as you're sensing this image. An emotional current comes through to blend with it to give you more depth to the picture. So it's not just like a flat 2D image. And now, how can you begin to develop and trust your own psychic clairvoyant abilities? Well, the first step is to cultivate an environment where you can relax your mind enough, often through meditation, to create a space of stillness, and try to get as still as possible. Allow your inner voice, which is located in your throat area, and it's like you're going to ask your higher self to show you a symbol or an image. And then once you get that symbol or that image, and this is what light codes is about, you get that, and then it's like, well, what am I feeling about that? Do I have sensations in my body? Does it have a sound? Is there a song? Do I hear voices coming with that image, that symbolic image? What do I know to be a truth about that symbolic image? Am I smelling? Am I tasting? Am I feeling temperature changes? You know, there's so many. My students will always say, oh, I finally get it. If I just ask the questions, I will get the answer. And that's the truth. So you just have to sit with it long enough. Don't overwhelm the image with tons of questions, but you may ask, and it may take a moment for you to get that impression of the answer. And I teach 3 levels: beginner, and I wouldn't call it intermediate, but maybe it is intermediate, advanced, and then advanced. So 3 levels: psychic mastery 1, 2, and 3. And so you're always welcome to put your name on the waiting list through intuitivemind.org so that you know when I open up one of my classes again. And so I encourage you to keep a journal dedicated solely to recording visions and insights and themes that have significant meaning for you. Now, another important aspect of developing your clairvoyance is learning, this is big, learning to trust what you're getting. Learning to trust the images you receive. It's natural to have doubts. It's natural to second guess. And it can seem like it's such a random flash of light that you can discount it as nothing. But the visions often will come with a guidance with it. So even if you don't trust the image that you're getting, see if you can sense and tune into your knowing guidance. And know that it's not absolute, it's not literal, right? It's not literal. It's not a literal prediction. It does not mean that someone's about ready to die. And so, yeah, we can become afraid, but it's like you just have to keep practicing, keep practicing, keep practicing. When you can trust your intuition, it begins to create this feedback loop between your spirit and your mind, and your spirit and your mind. And then the more grounded you can be, the more accurate the information is that can come through. So let me just touch upon, as we're starting to kind of wrap up, touch upon the role of symbolism in clairvoyance. So symbolism is an image that you see, and often it speaks in a language of a metaphor. So I call it, a symbol is more than an image. A symbol has often more meaning to it than just the image itself. So like a doorway, you can see a door, and it could be the door is locked to new opportunities, or the door is ready to open to new opportunities. You could see a symbol of a hammer, and the hammer can represent building up a strong foundation of moving forward as the galactic blue light comes in, or it can be breaking down. You're using the hammer to break down limitations. So you see what I'm saying? One can be building strength. The other one is breaking down limitations. And what's the difference? The difference is you've got to tune into your intuition so that you know what the difference is for you. Nobody else can name that for you. So each symbol can have multiple layers of meaning depending on your own personal experiences and your current life circumstances. Now, many creative people will use symbols for their paintings. They'll use a lot of symbolic images in their paintings. Many creative individuals will tap into images to help fuel their art, their music, their storytelling. And creative expression really comes across with this as a power form of healing that's not just for the artist, but for the audience as well. How often have you been to a play where you felt really moved? You've been to a movie, or you went to a concert and they sing certain songs, and they're creating pictures with their words as they're singing, but you're feeling deeply moved by it. It's like a symbol is just so packed full of great moving information. So before we conclude, let me just talk about, there are moments, again, just that reminder, where you might have a spontaneous vision, and there are other moments where you just close your eyes and you can see pictures behind your eyelids. These experiences taught me how to listen, how to observe, how to witness, how to trust the guidance that emerges from the quiet stillness of my mind. It also is meant to reinforce the idea that clairvoyance is not just about predicting a fixed future or clinging to past events. As you embark on your own journey of clear seeing, remember that every vision, no matter how brief or ambiguous, is an opportunity to understand yourself better than you did just the moment before. So, experience a vision. Have you ever experienced a vision that changed your life? If so, go ahead and put it in the comment section so that we can all read and share in these stories. Because when I had my spontaneous psychic awakening, suddenly, I call it, I became suddenly sighted, where I could, no matter where I was walking, I could see your aura, your chakras, I could see your loved ones. And that hasn't changed. I go to the grocery store, I go to get gas, I'm going to the airport. I've just learned how to um, integrate it, normalize it, and not respond to it unless I am directly, intuitively asked by my spirit to get involved. Like the young man who came and said, please, could you speak on my behalf? And I just knew my spirit arranged that to happen so that I could help provide a message that helped save this other man. So awesome. So here we are moving into a much more intuitive realm with this DNA activation. So let yourself practice right now. Start writing in a journal, but know that um, you might be considering yourself not having an intuitive bone in your body one day, and then it's highly, highly, highly um, possible that the very next day you can wake up and have a high level of intuitive senses. So I encourage you to start surrounding yourself with open-minded people who can be a great support to you when that happens for you. All right, everyone, take care. I'd love to read your clairvoyant stories, and I look forward to seeing you on the next intuitive insight video about this great time of change we're in.